What's up, guys? I am Chance, and this is Cheers. Thanks for tuning in. This week, I'm out of liquor, so we're sipping on that agua. Once again, thanks for tuning in, and we're starting off this week like every other. My phone number, 858-621-3877. Give me a call. You have questions about life, you have questions about a certain situation, you, a loved one, maybe some anonymous person you just so happen to know may be in. Give me a call if you have questions surrounding that situation. I might be able to help you work it out. We will go over all the intricate little details, and then we'll assess accordingly. I'm here for you guys just as much as you are here for me. So once again, 858-621-3877. As always, like and subscribe if you guys enjoy the content. But as you guys can see, we are not in that new filming studio right now, or new filming space. I haven't ironed out the kinks, but what is new with me, I've been breathing through my nose. For 22 years, I've breathed through my mouth, and I will tell you confidently that taking in that oxygen straight through the nose, that is like 91 octane. I can't tell you in terms of like inches or meters how it specifically benefits my physical performance, but let's put it like this. When I'm pulling in that oxygen through my nostrils, say if I was to normally be going for a long jump and I'm breathing through my mouth, I'd pull off that long jump. But now, breathing through my nose, that long jump turns into a triple jump. 91 octane, baby. And for news around the world, they're not fucking around in Portland. There are these videos coming out of these federal law enforcement officers pulling up in unmarked vehicles and dragging away peaceful protesters. No questions asked. And I guess they were rolled out along the same time Trump dropped that executive order to protect U.S. monuments. I'm getting crazy out here in the West Coast. And one other thing I saw this week, I saw a post on Instagram that said, it's so dumb that these corporations tell us not to get tattoos, otherwise we can't get a good job. But the people running the country are all rapists and pedophiles. That might be true, but that is not a fair assessment of our country. The real question should be, are these rapists and pedophiles that are running the country, do they have tattoos? But I'm Chance, and this is Cheers. Thanks for tuning in, guys. So, guys, what's up, guys? All right, guys. I'm Chance. Everyone has a podcast, so guess it's my fucking turn. I got 3 fully loaded cabooses. Cheers. Let's get this bitch rolling. But yeah, $200,000 a year. Right? We know where he's coming from. Go to the beach. Big booty Latina. Illustrating what's wrong in our society. Authentic, handmade, original Chance Cablay. I want humanity to stay on Earth. This is Cheers. Alright, guys. Like I told you, I've been breathing out my mouth for 22 years, and I'm done with it. I'm done with it. It is not good for me, and I think why I insisted on sticking to that habit is because I didn't know why it wasn't good for me. So I decided to change to breathing through my nose. The hardest part about it was remembering to breathe through your nose, because after 22 years of breathing a certain way, you were more inclined to stick to that specific way, as detrimental as it may be for your health. And honestly, breathing should be one of those things that by the age of like 3 or 4, you just got down. Like, you shouldn't have to think about it. And when you do have to think about it, it feels counterproductive, because it just doesn't feel natural. And that it took me a couple of days, I'd say even close to a week, to really get over the just the weird feeling of pulling that oxygen in through my nostrils compared to down my windpipe. And once you start remembering how to breathe, it becomes a flurry of new sensations come onto you, especially when you start pulling in that whatever it is through your nostrils. The first thing I started to notice are the different aromas that I just have never really classified before when I was breathing through my mouth. Like the other day, I was walking downstairs and I got hit straight in the face by that aroma of turmeric. And I didn't know exactly what it was, but if you haven't smelled some turmeric, I recommend going down to your local Jimbo's or whatever it is and get yourself a canister. It refines the palate. And I learned all of this while listening to Joe Rogan's podcast with James Nestor. And exactly by doing that, by keeping my ear to the wind, I was able to get the knowledge that opened my eyes and was able to make me see that I was living in an unhealthy way. I was able to experience something new even from that knowledge, that sense of turmeric. And the world, as much as we think that we've seen it all, we've seen every corner, what's behind every corner, once we are more willing to open our eyes to what we have no knowledge about whatsoever, what we may be ignorant to, once we acknowledge that ignorance is there, we begin to learn. We begin to see that the world has acres of new things you have not experienced, whether that be the taste of motor oil or the scent of turmeric. Do you know how that tastes? Do you know how motor oil tastes? Do you know how turmeric smells? I didn't know until a couple of days ago. And that's not like, if you asked me 3 weeks ago, what's something that is going to impress you in the upcoming next couple weeks, I would not have been able to guess the smell of turmeric. But by keeping my ear to the ground and just being open for all the information the world has to provide, I was able to pull off with a new experience. So I started off breathing through my nose as a way for me to improve my health, but it actually becomes me discovering the full capabilities of my fifth sense, smell. And it could be a shot to your pride when you come to realize that you've been doing something wrong almost all of your life. And I will admit, most people don't want to take that shot to their pride, so they insist on keeping up with that wrong habit. And it's a strength to be able to step out of your own way, to be able to look at your past and say, yeah, what I've been doing is not for my benefit. I might have to change things up. And that will come with acknowledging that you are ignorant to some things. Like when I sat down and I listened to that Joe Rogan experience, he was talking to this guy, James Nestor, about breathing. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, I know how to breathe. I'm going to listen to it because I respect Joe Rogan. I respect most of the guests he has on. But for the most part, I think I'm pretty capable of operating my respiratory system to the full extent. Turns out I was anything but capable of operating my respiratory to the full extent. My respiratory system, that is. And it might have been in the back of my mind that I do know what's going on with this, but if I had just closed my mind to the idea completely and just said, yeah, I know how to breathe, this is going to be a waste of 2 hours for me to listen to this podcast, I would have never got that information. So guys, whenever you're just refuting someone else telling you something, remember that you could learn from any moment, any person, in any moment, in any place. You just have to be willing to hear what they're saying. Being a good listener is just as important as being a good speaker. And in fact, one of my personal beliefs, you have to be a good listener to be a good speaker. Because if you're just speaking to speak, that kills the point of a conversation. Conversation is a two-way road. And so you have to speak, you're supposed to speak to relay information. You're supposed to speak to argue. Speak to agree, speak to disagree, especially when you're in a conversation with anyone but yourself. Yeah, if you're in a conversation by yourself, speak to speak, because no one else is going to speak to you. But if you're in a conversation with a friend, listen to what they have to say and then react to what they are saying to you. Don't go into a conversation with what you're going to say already pre-formulated. Listen to what someone else has to say and then formulate your response. I'm telling you guys, a lot of the times it makes you come off as more intelligible because instead of spitting off something that may not have relevance, say you come into a conversation with a pre-formulated idea of exactly what you're going to say, and the person says something you don't expect them to say. They say something completely off topic, and you still say what you had pre-formulated prior to the conversation. There's no relevance to what you're saying, so you come off as an idiot. So speak to react, guys. Don't speak to just speak. And that has to do with being able to get out of your own way. I know that it can seem tough to a lot of people to change up how they've been living for maybe their whole life. Just like how I was breathing through my mouth through my whole life. I admit, like, it is still hard when I do find myself breathing out of my mouth to remind myself, hey, nostril work. 2 babies up here. 2 compared to 1. 2 is better than 1. And so I just started thinking about it that way, and yeah, it does seem easier to breathe through the mouth, but it's better to breathe through the nose. So just learn how to get out of your own way, guys. It may benefit you in the end, and you may walk away from it with something more than you expected. I just expected to pull away with bettering my health, not with the new 5th sense. But I got it. I got that 5th sense. So, I'm here, baby. But anyways, Portland. From what I'm reading, President Trump has deployed these agents, and these agents are reporting to the Department of Homeland Security. Trump is deploying these agents to suppress the protesting in Portland. And he is not targeting specifically violent protests. He's even targeting any type of protesting among the whole spectrum. Sorry, there's something stuck in the windpipe. But yeah, he's sending these agents to suppress peaceful protests. These moms protesting, the wall of moms, I saw that all in yellow. But what I really think is going on is Portland is being used as an example because it's still technically a big city, but in all honesty, no one really gives a shit about Portland. The people in Portland are probably pretty cool, but Oregon is kind of the guinea pig of the U.S. Why do you think they first legalized shrooms in Portland? Because no one cares if Oregon bursts into flames from drug-induced crime and sex, which is, for a lot of people, mushrooms will definitely help them out, but for a small percentage, for definitely the minority of people doing mushrooms, that might elicit like some aggressive behaviors. That might be aggressive sexual tendencies, or it might be just crime tendencies. But shrooms can have that effect on people. I couldn't see them letting people go crazy on shrooms in LA, but I could definitely see them letting people go crazy on shrooms in Oregon. And these feds were sent out along with that executive order to protect U.S. monuments. And from what I've seen in the videos, things are getting pretty aggressive. It looks like the new update for Battle Royale has just dropped. And a lot of this is on the part of the police because they're the ones walking out fully armed to the gills with tear gas. Just a bunch of things I would not want to face myself. And it's a little like watching a gazelle that was freshly assaulted by a lion, and it's finally start wobbling, getting sea legs under it, and then a hyena grabs its throat right there. That's what I'm watching. Oregon is like a freshly injured gazelle that's been left for the vultures, and against all odds, it's gotten its legs back under it. It could kind of walk, kind of going through that physical therapy, that PT. But these hyenas, Trump, the government, they've been watching it from behind these bushes. And they notice that the atrophied muscles on the gazelle starting to come back to life. And they want a little taste of that muscle. They want a little taste of that tendon. So they go straight for the jugular. And that's what I'm seeing is going on in Oregon. They don't care. And I don't know. It's a tough situation. because some of those protests are violent. I will admit that, but there are also peaceful protests for people that really just want racism to come to an end. All of us want racism to come to an end because we're equal people. But some people are delegitimizing the actual value of these protests by going in and rioting. And I think that to some extent the government's also delegitimizing the points of these protests by kind of just refuting their value and putting a spotlight on the people that are acting amok while all of this chaos is going on. And if you're one of the people taking advantage of the situation to go and riot and to cause chaos, you're not doing anyone any good, including yourself, man. Once all this ends, you're going to live in the same society that you were shitting on a couple of weeks ago during this pandemic. So, guys, we got to realize we're all in this together. But on the other hand, I will admit, it's a little funny to watch these protesters get wheeled off by these federal officers. And as they're getting wheeled off, these other protesters are shouting hope at them. Like I was watching this one video I was looking for. I can't find the video. If I can, I'll put it in the description or something. But this guy in full like riot gear, not the cops, but the protester, he was getting taken away by the cops. And this lady was calling her like, hey, don't worry, buddy. We're going to get you out. We're going to get you out. And then they pause and she's like, wait, what's your name? What's your name? And right when they start asking what that guy's name is, the cops cover his mouth so he can't say anything. And he gets thrown in the back of the car and they're like, yeah, buddy, don't worry. I'm going to get you out. That guy's not coming out of any Portland jail. If anything, check Wayfair's website next week. He might be there way more likely than any jail or any municipal holding cell in Oregon. I don't know what they're doing with these protesters, but it seems sketchy. But at the end of the day, shouts out to you, Portland. Shouts out to you. Keep the movement going strong. Keep it going strong. Other than that, not too much has been going on. I've been watching Kanye West. I don't know. Kanye, you did Bound 2 with Kim. Why do you need to be the president also? You already jumped through the hoops that a regular person cannot do. You drove a motorcycle with no hands, while a fine woman was throttling your hips. She was right here. She was throttling you right here, and you were like this. Like this. You got the form. You got the form down. Why are you going back in for the second round? Who wants you to be president? And are you just... It's tough for me to say this because I like Kanye. And I don't think he's actually trying to be president. I think this is a PR thing because this is what Kanye does. He always happens to go crazy right before he releases something. And I admit this is a little crazier than his stunts in the past. But it's crazy nonetheless. And it goes along with the usual agenda we come to expect out of Kanye, out of Mr. Yeezus. And let me just put it to you guys this way. I'm excited for that next album. Apparently it's coming out this Friday. Let me see what it is. Kanye's new album. Donda. That is his mom's name. So yeah, that's coming out this Friday, and I'm pretty excited for that. And I don't know if I expect it to be good because Jesus is King. I went to that movie showing. I went to that premiere. That was the biggest waste of my friend's $10 that I've ever used. And I don't know. I don't know. I hope Kanye is coming back. I hope Graduation's coming back. At least The Life of Pablo Kanye. Come back. I miss the old Kanye. And let me just say this. If Kanye is going through any real mental health issues, I hope you get better, man. You're an inspiration to a lot of us. To pretty much anyone in the rap industry. I'm not in the music industry whatsoever, but if you were even partially as inspirational to me as you were to these rappers, you're a foundation to the music industry, man. We hope you're better. Come at us with some bangers. Let's see that. Let us see that. But yeah, Kanye, I don't know. Him and Kim are threatening to go through a divorce. I don't exactly know why they were together in the first place. Actually, I do. I do know that because I would be with Kim too. I feel like any person in their right mind or out of their right mind would be with Kim Kardashian. But I will go on with that as more information unrolls. Other than that, not too much has been going on for me. I signed up for my fall classes, and I'm proud to say that fall 2020, I will be in Spanish 101 for the third time. ¿Qué tal? ¿Qué tal? And yeah, Spanish, one of my goals in life is to speak another language. I want to be able to go and converse in Latin America, in Spain, of Western Europe. I want to be able to exchange the culture that you can't exchange by only knowing one language. Because that's also what language does. It passes on culture. And so as a lot of these language, like a lot of the more indigenous languages that small tribal people communicate in, as they go extinct, what we're losing is we're losing a lot more stories that were passed on over generations, because those stories don't accurately translate through whatever that language was into English. The lessons, the morals, the actual narrative doesn't carry over like it did in the original language. But yeah, I'm taking Spanish, and I'm going to take that serious because I'm looking at going into international business, and I don't know why. I just told myself I would. I don't like business. I don't like numbers. I don't like dealing with the stuff behind the scenes. But I'm already down the path, so might as well keep on going. And I'm taking an accounting class too. That's probably going to be a shit show. I'm telling you right now, if you ever see me advertising myself as a CPA, certified public accountant, do not give me a call. I'm the last person you want dealing with your finances unless you want half of your assets to be in the form of... not trust myself in any position in which I'm responsible to deal with numbers. I'm not a meticulous guy. If you are expecting exactness and just a very scrutinizing eye, that's not me, guys. It's not me. So don't hire me as an accountant. That's the lesson you could pull out of today. Out of today's episode, do not hire me as an accountant. I'm not good with numbers. And that's pretty much it. That's what's been going on in my week. I'm going to keep on pulling in oxygen through the nostrils. Keep on adapting. Trying to be a better person every week. As always, that's all we could do. That's the best we could do. We could try to be better than we were the day before. And if you're doing that, then rest assured and feel good about yourselves, guys. Feel good about yourselves. And as always, I'm Chance. This is Cheers. I'll see you next week. Thanks, guys. So, guys, what's up, guys? All right, guys. I'm Chance. Everyone has a podcast, so I guess it's my fucking turn. I got 3 fully loaded cabooses. Cheers. Let's get this bitch rolling. But yeah, $200,000 a year. Right? We know where he's coming from. Go to the beach. Big booty Latina. Illustrating what's wrong in our society. Authentic, handmade, original Chance Cablay. I want humanity to stay on Earth. This is